I got the Titans pulling a major upset over the Los Angeles Rams this weekend, but they can only do it if they protect Cam Ward. And I'll explain how on today's edition of Locked On Titans.
You are Locked On Titans, your daily Tennessee Titans podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Titans podcast. I am your host, Tyler Rowland. Titans fans, today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast is brought to you by Mazda. Like the Titans players, Mazda sweats every detail because when you make every move count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned later for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward Mazda. Move or be moved. And speaking of pulling off the unexpected, I got the Tennessee Titans pulling the upset over the Los Angeles Rams this weekend, and we're going to dive into exactly how they can do it. I'm going to tell you what I think the Titans do score-wise. I'm going to give some fantasy and gambling advice. Going to go over my players to watch in this game, and we'll talk keys to victory. Before we dive in, I do want to thank you for making Locked On Titans your first listen each and every day. Remember, Monday through Friday, Tennessee Titans content all year round, always for free. Make sure that you get subscribed, stay subscribed. It's your team every day here on the Locked On Titans podcast. Speaking of every day, shout out to my everydayers out there tuning in Monday through Friday. Couldn't do it without you guys. If you aren't an everydayer, now's the perfect time to be one with the season kicking off. I'm going to be going live immediately after the game on Sunday, breaking down everything that you need to know coming out of the matchup again that I think the Tennessee Titans will win. But if they're going to win this game, it starts with protecting Cam Ward. My number one key to victory for the Tennessee Titans is to protect Cam Ward. And I don't just mean in pass blocking. I don't just mean the offensive line and dropbacks. Yes, the Titans cannot give up 6 sacks. Absolutely not. Can't be the case. But there are other ways that you can protect Cam Ward, including running the frickin' football. Last week in week 1, the Tennessee Titans averaged the worst amount of yards needed on third downs. The Titans averaged 11.5 yards to gain on third downs. Again, worst in the NFL. By having the furthest way to go on every third down, you are not protecting your rookie quarterback whatsoever. So how do the Titans set themselves up with some easier third down situations? Run the football. Last week against the Texans, or for the Texans were able to run for 114 yards, 4.2 yards per carry. If the Titans were able to do that, which they were not last week against Denver, where they averaged, I believe, 2.9 yards per carry. If the Titans were able to average 4 yards a carry, they would be able to get some runs going. They would be able to get some chunk runs on top of that, and they would set themselves up in more third and manageables. And then it creates a domino effect where the offensive line doesn't have to help as much. You don't have to leave guys in to protect, to help the offensive line as much because you can get rid of the ball quickly. It's just an absolute domino effect when you're not able to run the football. So protecting Cam Ward sounds like it's just the offensive line and pass protection, but in reality, you could protect Cam Ward by running the football better, and not only that, but the drops. Protect your young quarterback by catching the football. Don't leave him out to dry when he throws you an accurate pass. Don't set him up to fail when he throws a good throw to you and you don't catch it. Now you don't get any yards, and now you're back in those third and long situations. And then on top of that, you got to add in the play calling. Like, the Tennessee Titans have to protect Cam Ward with the play calls as well. Talking about that rollout to the left. Everybody's saying, oh, it was a design throwback to Gunnar Helm. If that was a design throwback to Gunnar Helm, then it's one of the worst play designs I have ever seen in my entire life. And if they would have tried to throw it back to Gunnar Helm, he was absolutely covered. The Broncos didn't fall for it at all. And not only that, but Gunnar Helm took so long to get out into the throwback possibility that it never would have worked anyway. I don't buy that that was a design throwback. I believe that that was Gunnar Helm just trying to do what's right. He sunk in to help the offensive line, couldn't get the edge rusher, and he's like, well, I'm ineligible. I guess I'll go out and see if I can help. So we would have to ask Brian Callahan directly, but either way, the terrible play calling, the situational awareness, the goal line situation before halftime, like, that's not protecting Cam Ward whatsoever. So it goes beyond just the offensive line and pass protection. You got to protect your rookie quarterback in all these other areas. Now, outside of that, when we go to the defensive side of the ball, it's the flip. The Titans have to make Stafford move. If you let Matthew Stafford stay on his spot and not be rattled and not have to move around and drop back, hit his back foot and get rid of the ball, you are cooked. You're cooked. Here's some numbers for you. So last week against the Houston Texans, Matthew Stafford, when in a clean pocket, 17 of 19, 172 yards, a touchdown, no interceptions. Matthew Stafford under pressure, 4 for 10, 73 yards. All right, that's 1 week. That's 1 week. No big deal. Let's go to 2024. When Matthew Stafford was kept clean in the pocket, he had a 91.7 grade per Pro Football Focus. He completed 72.2% of his passes, and he had 20 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. That is pretty incredible. Now, when Matthew Stafford was under pressure last year, he only completed 47.9 of his passes and threw 4 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. Look, Matthew Stafford's 37 years old. He was dealing with a major back injury coming into the season. I don't want to see anybody get hurt out there, but at the end of the day, that's an old man playing football, and if you let him just sit there and have a picnic in the pocket, he will cut you apart. So if you're the Titans, no matter what it takes, you have to put pressure on Matthew Stafford, and I think the Titans need to blitz more. And Denard Wilson in his press conference earlier this week said, they wanted to contain the pocket against Bo Nix because Bo Nix is able to run and get out of the pocket and use his legs and his mobility and all that. And he said it's a different story this week with Matthew Stafford. The Tennessee Titans only blitzed 21.4% of the time against the Denver Broncos. That was the 17th highest rate in the NFL, so not even top half. All right? They have to blitz more than that. They have to. And look, one way that you're going to be able to blitz is by earning it on early downs and stopping the run. The Rams did not run the ball very well last week. They only ran for 2.9 yards per carry against Houston last week. 72 total yards. So if the Tennessee Titans can stop the run, then they're going to put Matthew Stafford in 3rd and long or 3rd and medium situations. They're going to be able to dial up the pressures and dial up the blitzes without Stafford being able to hit those little quick throws over the middle. And then he's going to start feeling it. He's going to get happy feet. He's going to move around, and he's going to drop significantly in the level of player that he is, as the statistics have shown. So very, very simple. Insulate your rookie quarterback with solid protection, and then get after Matthew Stafford and make him feel uncomfortable. That's what they need to do. And then my final key to victory here, this isn't schematic. This isn't backed by stats. This is just don't be morons. Just don't have 13 penalties for as many yards as you have on offense. Don't try to be aggressive in the shadow of your own goalpost when you have a lead ready to go in halftime. Don't do stupid stuff. So often, especially under Brian Callahan, the Tennessee Titans have beat themselves. And if you beat yourself against the Los Angeles Rams, you have no chance to win whatsoever. So don't be morons, Titans. Big key to victory. Let me know your keys to victory down below. Now we got to zoom in and talk about my players to watch in this game. And we talked about the pressure the Titans need to put on Matthew Stafford. And there's one man who is going to be more responsible for that duty than anybody else. Do want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by DoorDash. It's almost the weekend. Time to look back and crown this week's MVP who delivered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more time every order, these players delivered when it mattered most. Let's break it down. For the Titans, the player who delivered in a big way was Jeffery Simmons. Look, I know there was the penalty at the end, but throughout the course of that game, Big Jeff was absolutely dominant. He led the team in pressures. He forced a strip sack fumble on the second interception to Xavier Woods. It was Jeffery Simmons getting pressure into the backfield and hitting Bo Nix to cause that to happen. Big Jeff, by far, came through when the Titans needed it most. And that performance wasn't a fluke, and I think Jeffery Simmons can go on a streak. Just like Jeffery Simmons delivered for the Titans, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays. With DoorDash Streaks, you save every Saturday you order, stack it up all season, and you could save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday, keep the streak alive, fuel your game day. Only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period through November the 18th. Today's episode is also brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure that you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel. It doesn't matter what I'm trying to do, whether it's a player prop, a money line, a spread, over-unders, putting all those things together for a same-game parlay. Even if I miss kickoff, I can still jump in and get it on the live betting action. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. It's quick, it's easy, it's the best way to add a little more energy to your Sunday. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Titans fans, let's continue today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast. It's a game preview episode. Always love these, where we're always talking about what the Titans need to do to win. Now, as I said, I think the Titans pull the upset in this one. I'm going to have them winning this game. I'm going to give you my game and score prediction at the end of the show, along with my fantasy and gambling advice. But now I want to zoom in and talk about the players that I think will be most important to the Titans pulling off an upset. And we're going to go in the same order that we went through in the first section. We got to start with Dan Moore Jr. And look, I put Dan Moore on there, but really I mean both the offensive tackles. Guys, I have terrible news. J.C. Latham didn't practice again on Thursday. Now, we won't know for sure until Friday afternoon after practice, maybe even Saturday during elevations, what's going to happen there. But in my opinion, based on what I saw from J.C. Latham after he got injured, based on the weeks leading up to the season where Latham was dealing with a hip injury, and then the Titans working out 3 offensive linemen earlier this week, I think there's a chance that J.C. Latham's going to go to IR. I mentioned it earlier this week. I am dreading the tweet the Tennessee Titans will be putting second-year player J.C. Latham on injured reserve as he deals with an aggravated hip injury. I just have a feeling that that might be what's coming. And if that's the case, that is going to put a huge, heavy emphasis on Dan Moore, because the Titans can't have a backup at right tackle and then have Dan Moore play like a backup at left tackle. Dan Moore needs to show that he was worth the $22 million a year that the Tennessee Titans gave him. Period. Because they're going to have to help Ali Udoh, or John Ojukwu. One of those two guys will be starting at right tackle. And they're going to have to give them help. They're going to have to slide the offensive line to them. They're going to have to send a tight end over there to Chip. They're going to have to keep the running back on the right-hand side to Chip. If you have 2 offensive tackles that desperately need help, that's not going to be good. That's going to be impossible to overcome against Byron Young, Jared Verse, Kobe Turner, Braden Fisk. You're not going to be able to overcome that. That's not going to happen. So if Dan Moore doesn't hold down his side of the line of scrimmage and be able to play on an island, the Titans are going to be in trouble. Because I do not think, even if Latham doesn't go on IR, I'm sorry, but I do not think that J.C. Latham is going to play in this game. I don't think there's any chance that that's happening. I hope I'm wrong. I would love to be wrong, but I just don't see it. Now, do I think that Dan Moore can do that? I don't know. But he better, all right? But he better. That's all it comes down to. Do or do not. There is no try, Dan Moore. But the second player that I have my eye on here, and make sure you guys let me know your players to watch down below, but it's Jeffery Simmons. I talked about how important it is to pressure Matthew Stafford. I talked about how you have to get him off his spot. The statistics that show that he is a significantly worse quarterback when you get him under pressure. And who is the guy who could put the most pressure on Matthew Stafford on the Titans D-line. No question, by far, no doubt, Jeffery Simmons. Simmons led the Titans in pressures last week, as I mentioned earlier. He was in the top 10 in pressure rate from interior defensive linemen in the NFL in week 1. Jeffery Simmons looked like the all-pro version of Jeffery Simmons. And again, you could say, oh, stupid penalty, blah, 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 blah. If you made a list of 100 reasons why the Titans lost that game last week, I'm sorry, but Jeffery Simmons may be 100. If you want to make a list of the reasons the Titans had a chance to win that game last week, Jeffery Simmons is number 1. Jeffery Simmons is the number 1 reason the Titans had a chance to beat the Broncos. He was dominant against one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. Guess who is not one of the best offensive lines in the NFL? The Los Angeles Rams. They have good offensive tackles. They do. But they have cluster injuries on the interior offensive line. We talked about this on the crossover show yesterday. Steve Avila, high ankle sprain, came back into the game, but considered week to week. Coleman Shelton, who's their starting center, we saw him last year against Chicago Bears. He's not a great player. Both the Rams starting guards are probably going to miss the game with ankle injuries, and even if they don't, they're going to be incredibly banged up. Jeffery Simmons has to maul these people. Literally maul them. And not just in the pass rush, in the run game too. We talked about how important it is to stop the run so that you can put Matthew Stafford in 3rd and longs so you can dial up the blitzes. So Big Jeff has to dominate. I'm not exaggerating at all. Literally dominate the entire game. Just like he did 4 years ago when the Titans played the Rams in 2021 on Sunday Night Football. And Big Jeff had 1, 2, 3 sacks and let the world know about it, leading to his first all-pro season of his NFL career. That is the Jeffery Simmons that we need this week, and the Titans have a great opportunity to get that from Jeffery Simmons, considering the cluster injuries on the interior offensive line. It just sets up so perfectly for the Titans to attack the interior with Big Jeff and linebacker blitzes. Cedric Gray is going to get a sack in this game. Mark my words. Cedric Gray is going to get a sack in this game. Because the Titans need to blitz the A-gap all night long. Anyways, moving right along to my final player to watch. I just left the same picture on the graphic. It's L'Jarius Sneed. L'Jarius Sneed played 21 snaps in the week 1 game. I thought they were pretty good snaps. Wasn't a bad game. He looked pretty good. But that should ramp up. The Titans should be looking to play him 30, 35 snaps in this game. And quite honestly, they need him. L'Jarius Sneed was traded for and was paid to be a cornerback that can stand up to a Puka Nacua, to a Davante Adams. This is one of the best wide receiver duos the Titans are going to see all year, if not the best, without the schedule right in front of me. I mean, this is an elite wide receiver duo. I would put L'Jarius Sneed on Davante Adams and let those two go one-on-one. And then I would use the rest of the defense and play zone on Puka Nacua and have 3 or 4 sets of eyes on him at all times, because Puka Nacua is the better player, and he's the more physical player as well. But Puka Nacua was evaluated for a concussion last week. He's been banged up before throughout his career. It's time to hit. I want eyes on Puka Nacua at all times, and if they throw him the ball in the middle of a bunch of people in a zone, everyone converge and smack him. That's what the Titans have to do. Let L'Jarius Sneed go with Davante Adams, and then let the rest of the defense focus on Puka. That has to be the plan. And, you know, I know that he's just coming back. I know it's limited snaps, but this is what L'Jarius Sneed was paid to do. He said he could have played more. I think he could have played more, and it's time. So, Dan Moore Jr., be who the Titans paid for. Jeffery Simmons, be who the Titans paid for. L'Jarius Sneed, be who the Titans paid for. It's really that simple. But with that being said, again, I got the Titans pulling the upset in this one. I'll tell you what I think the score is, and we'll talk some gambling and fantasy as well. Do want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by Mazda's Moving the Game Forward. For those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. There are moments that do more than put points on the board. They move crowds, move culture, and keep the game moving forward. And this week's moment that moved the game forward is Jeffery Simmons' strip sack on Bo Nix. I thought that had a great opportunity to push the Titans towards a win. It also was a good sign of Jeffery Simmons bouncing back this year, turning back into the all-pro player that we know that he can be. I mean, I thought that had a great chance to keep the Titans moving forward. And when you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. It's Mazda. Move and be moved. Titans fans, let's cap off today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast. It's a game preview episode where I get you guys ready to go for the Week 2 matchup against the Los Angeles Rams. We always on the Friday show look at what the Titans need to do to win the game. We talked about the keys to victory. We talked about the players to watch. Now we got to get into some of my predictions. And as I told you guys, I have the Tennessee Titans winning this game. Now, before I tell you what I think the score will be, do want to thank you for making Locked On Titans your first listen each and every day. Remember, Monday through Friday, Tennessee Titans content all year round, always for free. Make sure that you get subscribed, stay subscribed. It's your team every day. But I've been tiptoeing around it all week, folks. But I can feel the confidence. I can feel the excitement. I can just feel it coming in my veins, man. Brian Callahan is going to be coaching for his life. The urgency is going to be at an all-time high. And the Tennessee Titans are going to upset the Los Angeles Rams 23-20. I think the Tennessee Titans get 2 touchdowns. I think they kick 3 field goals. I think the Rams get a couple of field goals and 2 touchdowns, and the Tennessee Titans get a critical stop on 4th down at the end of the game to seal things. I don't think that Cam Ward has a magical, insane game or anything like that. I think the Titans team, plays well. Remember, last week we're all downtrodden, we're all distraught, everyone's upset, and look, rightfully so. The way that game went down, absolutely disappointing. No doubt about it. But at the end of the day, I've watched the tape of that game now like 3 or 4 times just for all the different projects that I've done over at the Tic Tac Titans YouTube channel, film stuff, just my own personal information watching the game. I'm going to have a Jeffery Simmons film breakdown on Friday to get you guys hyped and ready to go for the game. So look out for that on the Tic Tac Titans YouTube channel. If you aren't subscribed over there, we're having all the conversations here. Now get all the film content over at Tic Tac Titans. Look, there are teams of people who can't keep up with me in the Titans media sphere. So make sure you stay locked in, all right? But with the ability of the defense to play to the level that they played last week, and with the special teams looking improved, we can't forget those things. Yes, the offense was a disaster. For sure, no doubts. But the Titans defense and the Titans special teams played well in that game. I'm not going to forget that. I'm not going to throw that to the wayside. If Brian Callahan bounces back in this game, calms down, chills out, lets Cam Ward play, doesn't call it so conservatively the whole game, except for the one drive where you needed to be conservative. What? Insane, right? But I think Callahan bounces back. I think he has a good plan against the Rams. Remember, the Bengals went to the Super Bowl and played against the Rams. I think that Brian Callahan will have a great plan for the Los Angeles Rams. I think he bounces back in a big way. I think Big Jeff dominates the interior of the offensive line of the Los Angeles Rams. And I think L'Jarius Sneed has a good performance against one of those wide receivers. I think the Tennessee Titans pull the upset. Let me know your game and score predictions down below. But now, it's time to go to keeping it plus 100. And right now, the Tennessee Titans are plus 5.5. Folks, if I told you I think the Titans win the game, then I definitely am taking the Titans plus 5.5 on the spread. And look, if you're not as confident as me, that's fine. I get it. If you don't think the Titans are going to win the game, that's fine. I get it. But the Titans plus 5.5 at home, I'm sorry. I don't care if you think they win or not. That's a great bet. A home underdog getting over 3 points, I love the plus 5.5 for the Tennessee Titans. Fantastic value there as a home team. I'm hammering that. I like the money line as well. The money line is plus 210 on FanDuel. I like the money line. Now, the over-under is 41.5. I have a score prediction of 23-20, which would be over, but I'm not confident. The Titans could win 20-17. The Titans could win 19-17 or whatever. Like, I don't feel confident enough in the over-under to bet that, but you guys can if you want to. But if I had to lean, obviously, I'm going to lean with the over. I think the Titans put up more points this week than they did last week. I do. So call me crazy if you want. I don't care. Give me the Titans money line plus 210 on FanDuel. If you want to just go with the spread, love the Titans getting 5.5, and I would personally stay away from the over-under. That's how I would do the gambling aspect of this game. That's keeping it plus 100. Now, we go to my beautiful, dark, twisted fantasy player of the week, and I'm going with L'Jarius Sneed. So a couple of stats that stand out. L'Jarius Sneed was top 3 among rookie wide receivers in target percentage. He was actually number 1 with 25% of the targets going his direction. That's a great target share. Not only that, but he's probably going to get a matchup with former first-round pick Emmanuel Forbes. Now, if you know anything about Emmanuel Forbes, he looks like a broomstick. This guy is tiny. Tiny. I'm not kidding you. My forearm right here is thicker than Emmanuel Forbes' legs. And he got run out of Washington immediately. Immediately was a massive bust after being taken in the first round. So, I don't think that Emmanuel Forbes is a very good player. He's an outside corner for the Rams. Not only that, but he's small and he's meek. I think 6'2", 215-pound L'Jarius Sneed is not only going to get the opportunity to get the ball and make plays, but he's got a matchup that he can physically dominate. So you want a daily fantasy dart throw, you got a bad fantasy draft that you had, and now you're trying to pick up the pieces. I think L'Jarius Sneed is my low-key. Again, you could say Tony Pollard or Calvin Ridley or go with the obvious ones. I always try to go with a fantasy player who's not super obvious. Like I went with Chigakonkwo last week. I mean, nobody did good in fantasy for the Titans last week. But this week, I'm going with L'Jarius Sneed as my beautiful, dark, twisted fantasy player of the week. But that is my keys to victory, my players to watch, my game and score prediction, my gambling, my fantasy advice, everything you guys need headed into this matchup with the Los Angeles Rams. And I'll be here on Sunday live immediately after the game ends to break down everything that takes place. But that's going to do it for me today, folks. As always, I am your host, Tyler Rowland, and this was Locked On Titans.